I'm Jeff Frawley, and this is Cindy Rhodes, and you're watching Leerburg TV. This is our second episode with our bed command. We're now going to progress some of the work that we did with our Kuranda bed onto a flat mat, like one of these eco-nap beds that we've got here. We're also going to be adding some distance and then incrementally adding some distractions, moving into a few different environments. And we're going to work our way up until we can bring our dog to a coffee shop, bring our eco-mat bed here in our backpack, set the dog down and get some work done at the coffee shop. So this is kind of some practical application for our bed work. So hope you guys enjoy it. We're going to show you how to get your dog to this point.
Ready, Mapes? Ready? Bed.
The first thing that we're going to work on today is adding a little bit of distance to our bed work. Last week, you saw how we teach to send to the bed. Now we're going to put maybe on the bed, take a few steps back. Cindy will then mark with her good or her duration marker, come back in and reward maybe with a high value food reward. You're going to notice a pattern throughout this video of us slowly and incrementally increasing the level of difficulty. This will be a little bit more apparent when we get into some of our work with distractions. But for here on our distance, you're going to start short and add more and more distance as you progress this training. So if your dog is struggling to stay on the bed when you move away from it, come back in closer. Maybe for the first one, just lean back a little bit. Then move back one step, come back in and reward. Move back 2 steps, come back in and reward. The idea being, don't go 30 feet away from your dog the very first time. Once you've progressed this and you feel confident just stepping away, you can do as Cindy is here, the same work as we did last week, where she's also using the chair to sit down and change the picture a little bit as she moves away from maybe. Notice this week the chair is also a little bit further away from the bed than it was last week. What we're doing here is proofing our duration on the bed.
Break. Bed. Good.
Now that maybe is staying on the bed, while we move away from her at further and further distances, we're going to go ahead and switch beds out. So here you'll see Cindy is putting the eco-mat flat bed on top of the Kuranda. This is going to help maybe generalize that this new eco-mat bed, or this mat that she has not seen before, has the same rules and expectations as the Kuranda bed. So by being elevated off the ground, it's a very similar picture. All we're doing is adding the mat on top of the Kuranda bed. Cindy now needs to proof this exercise with the eco-mat bed. So we know that maybe knows how to get on the bed. We know that she knows how to stay on the bed, but we don't know that she understands that it's the same rules and the same expectations with this new surface, or the mat being on top of the Kuranda. So we'll run back through some of the steps from the last week's video, as well as work on our distance while we're doing this, just to ensure that maybe knows that this is the same behavior regardless of the new material.
Good girl.
Now that Cindy is confident that maybe understands what is expected of her with this new mat on top of our Kuranda bed, she'll remove the Kuranda bed from the picture. If we've done our job right and shown maybe enough repetition of this, she'll run right over, jump on the bed, and understand what's expected of her. If it doesn't work perfectly right away, no worries. Take it back to step 1. You may need to do a little bit of luring onto the bed, but they will generalize this.
Yep. Bed.
We're now going to begin to add some distractions into our bed work.
Bed.
So up until this point, we've been working in a distraction-free environment. We're using our training center, which allows us to really control the distractions and the level of distractions that we are introducing into our training. So remember, we want to do this slowly and incrementally. Now, the distraction that Cindy and I chose to work on was knocking at the door. This is a really practical application for our bed work. For those of you who have dogs, it may be reactive when somebody comes to your house, jumps up and goes crazy at the door. This is a great thing for you to work on. But you can use any type of distraction that you want to with your dog. Just remember, start simple and slowly add more and more complication or more and more difficulty to your distractions. So here you see that I came up and did some knocks at the door, so maybe saw me come up. She's still engaged with Cindy. We started simple. Then I'll go into the door and knock from the other side, or maybe can't necessarily see what's going on. Once you've worked on some distractions and have proofed your dog and know that your dog is staying on the bed, we can move this into a different environment. Now, here we are in the office, so this is another great practical example of how you can use this while you're working. You can have your dog staying on the bed. Notice one thing that we did is we took a couple steps back here. So we now have the Kuranda bed back in the picture with the EcoNap bed on top. We're doing this just to simplify things for Maybe. So where we complicate our training by moving into a new environment, on the other aspect, we take a step back by making it a picture that she has seen tons and tons of repetitions of. This will make it easier for Maybe to generalize this new environment that may have a lot more distractions than our training center did. Once Maybe's doing really well on the Kuranda bed with the EcoNap bed on top, it's the exact same as before. Cindy's just going to remove the Kuranda bed out from underneath of the EcoNap bed and continue to reinforce Maybe for staying on that mat. The more repetitions and the more rewards or reinforcement that Maybe receives throughout the progression of this is really going to make it easier for you to add in these distractions and you to add in a new environment.
Good. No. Bed. Good. Good girl. Good.
So as I said before, slowly and incrementally. So we've worked with Maybe on a variety of different distractions, as you saw earlier with our demonstration of knocking at the door. We then moved to a new environment, and now we're going to bring another dog into the picture. So here you see my dad bringing his dog, Rosie, into the office and sitting at a chair next to Maybe. Notice that they don't allow the dogs to interact with each other. It wouldn't be fair to allow Rosie to run into the room and jump up on the bed when Maybe is expected to be staying on that bed. So Rosie's on a leash. My dad brings her into the office and sits down and engages with Maybe over in the corner, just using Rosie as a background distraction.
Girl.
All right, so we've loaded up our dog and we've loaded up our bed and we're headed to the coffee shop. One of the reasons that we like these EcoMat beds, or any mat bed, is because it's small, foldable. You can see here Cindy can shove it into her backpack and bring it anywhere. It's not so easy to bring a Kuranda bed with you to the coffee shop. They're great for home, they're great for your office, but hard to travel with. So now we're going to bring our mat style bed into the coffee shop. We're going to try to find a corner that's somewhat secluded so that we can slowly add our distractions and slowly increase the difficulty of our environment. So we're in our kind of secluded corner. We've got the mat on the floor. We put Maybe on the mat. And then the training is exactly the same as what we have been doing. We're going to have Maybe on the bed. Cindy will randomly reinforce Maybe with her treat or her high value food reward while Maybe's paying attention to her. You can see how, because we started this in our distraction-free environment, and then we added in more and more distractions, we moved away from our dog, we slowly increased the level of difficulty of our environment. By the time we get to the coffee shop, we have already worked through any of the challenges that may have come up. Maybe understands that it's the same rules and expectations on the Kuranda bed in the training center as it now is on the mat style bed in the coffee shop. So we demonstrate a couple different distractions and a couple different environments that you could bring your dog into. But hopefully you're sitting there watching this and the wheels are starting to turn and you're starting to think, ooh, here's another application that I may have for my lifestyle and for my dog. And you can really see how training your dog on a bed command has some great practical applications in the real world. And it's a simple thing to train. It's all about repetition and slowly and incrementally increasing the difficulty.